What's going on, everyone? So, Officer Acosta feels like a character that is starting to get built up and likely be a fixture going forward. I don't know how much they're going to continue to build her up this season. I'm not saying that she's not going to be in the rest of the season or that, she won't be a focal point in any manner, but I think next season you'll really start to see her kind of become more of a fixture because she's a character that came in middle of the season, right? That kind of just was like brought in, had this moment. Everyone just kind of looked at her, sideways because she ended up killing Nikki, which, in her defense, right? Like, monsters are chasing her. She has no idea what's going on. She shot one of them. Nothing happened. Like, they didn't even flinch, right? Like, she wasn't, like, trying to shoot Nikki. She didn't even know she was there. She was just trying to shoot at the monster that was in the area and missed and ended up hitting the, Nikki. It's just, I feel like she's got like a bad rep for no real reason. Like, I understand people being mad and upset that Nikki died because she shot her, but it's like, come on, like, given the circumstances, if she just like came in like Wile E. Coyote or something, like, Yosemite Sam, like boom, 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 right? Like, then yeah, sure, but that's not what happened, right? Given the circumstances, I think you can give her a pass. But nonetheless, right, she is a character that they clearly are having be kind of more focused and in the spotlight. You saw her recent kind of confrontation with Boyd, when she's investigating the Tilly murder, and she even asked Boyd, like, hey, we're good, right? You had the whole gun scene. So I do think that she's going to be a character that has significance, that has importance, right? Like, you look like characters, like even Tilly obviously had some importance, but she was just kind of like a red herring in a lot of ways, kind of propped in. Elgin for a long time was just kind of this like random character, and then they finally are starting to like really have a purpose for him. It's kind of how I see, right? Like they're letting you get familiar with Officer Acosta, and then eventually she's going to play a big role, as we saw with like Elgin and Mel Randall. We're still kind of building up with that, right? Marielle. I do think we're going to get similar manner with Acosta. But here's the thing. What is her first name? Right? Like, I think that is something that is really kind of interesting and questionable. Right? Like, all the characters, their first name. Some characters you even know their entire name, right? Like, even like the Matthews family, right? Like, we know that. We've had several characters in which their last name, right? Toby McRae. But you look at Acosta, who's played by Samantha Brown. Samantha Brown plays Officer Acosta. We only know her as Officer Acosta, which is her last name. Think of all the characters we only know one half of their name. Elgin, Tilly, right? Like, these characters are all the first name. And to further add to this, Samantha Brown did an interview, which, shout out to my subscribers. Several subscribers in a live stream mentioned that I needed to check out this interview with Derek Thomas and Samantha Brown, who is the Monday morning critic. And he did an interview with Samantha Brown and basically got questions from Reddit and asked what the first name was. And Samantha Brown says she knows the name, but she was relayed that she cannot reveal it. So she has a first name that the studio does not want her to reveal. I find that incredibly interesting because obviously there is a significance. Obviously there is an importance. Obviously there is something there. Whose first name is a first name that would matter? Also, real quick, before we dive into this part, I'll link the interview down in the comment section. Go check out the interview when you get a chance. Just, because this is where we got this little piece of insight. But who could Samantha Brown potentially be? There's only one character, and I've really thought this over, right? I scoured it. Even in the live stream, we were trying to think of like, God, whose first name would matter outside of one character? The only character that would possibly matter as her first name that is a female character. Victor's sister, Eloise. Now, could this be Eloise Acosta? Now, here's the thing. Your first initial thought was, no way, right? This cop, Acosta, is way too young to be Eloise. Way too young. Until you saw the recent episode, right? This is why I kind of was like, is it really Eloise? Like, can it be Eloise? And I kind of was racking my brain around it. And then we got episode 8. And we saw Julie enter the ruins. And we realized time is different in Fromville. There are literally pocket dimensions. We have no idea whatever happened to Eloise. To this day. We don't know. We don't know if she's alive. We don't know if she's dead. We don't know if she fell into a pocket somewhere. We found out that Miranda was not meant to go through the tree. And we know that Eloise ran after her mom. And it doesn't really seem like Christopher was the one that was killing everybody. Right? Victor even came to the revelation that, like, he's the one that got his mother killed. So Eloise is probably still alive somewhere. Where did she go? Is it possible that she ended up in some alternate reality, some alternate universe, some pocket dimension, right? We don't know how time maneuvers here. A lot of people think that we're having these reincarnations, right? It's been a running theory for several seasons now that people have, where it's like, Miranda is Tabitha, Christopher is Jade, right? So on and so forth, right? And it's very possible that if that really is a thing, another alternative would be that you'd have Officer Acosta, who could potentially be Eloise Acosta. Maybe she's the reincarnation of Eloise. And you have all these characters. All these characters have been linked to Fromville long before they ever got there. So there's clearly something that is causing characters to end up there, right? Whether it's a bloodline thing, whether it's a reincarnation thing, whether it's just, happenstance, whether they're just marked somehow through actions or whatever, right? There's a reason why these characters end up in Fromville one way or another, right? And it's not just like random. It doesn't appear to be wrong place, wrong time, right? It appears to be kind of just like like you see characters having visions and dreams and nightmares. Like Tabitha had nightmares from when she was a child, right? Elgin was having visions and stuff and wanted to get turned around before they ended up ever approaching this area, right? Like we've seen characters have dreams or nightmares or visions of Fromville. So there's clearly a link to it before they ever even get there. So whatever that reasoning is. Because my point is, again, why, what other first name matters? Like, if her name is Jessica Acosta, okay, who cares if her name is Jessica? And as far as we know, there isn't another Acosta, right? Could they have the first name be, Miranda? Oh, it's Miranda Acosta, right? Okay, the only character that makes sense as far as a first name goes that would hold any level of significance at this point that would be worthy of not revealing would be Eloise, right? But then also, if it's Eloise, I don't see it being some random, just like Eloise. There's got to be a tie-in. Right? 'Cause it's not like Eloise, Victor's sister is the only person ever in the history to ever have the name Eloise, right? So you could have that. But one, if you're writing a story, you probably want to have another Eloise or not have another Eloise unless it's the Eloise. Sorry, this is like a tongue twister, right? But because think about it, right? If you were to name another character Eloise, everyone is immediately going to have the thought of oh, that's Eloise reincarnated or whatever, time travel or whatever it is, right? Only way that it really like you would want to purposely do that is if you wanted to mislead people, right? If there was a reason that you felt like, oh, hey, we want to have like this misdirection. We want people to believe that this is Eloise for another reason. But in all honesty, like we never would have, like, obviously the question of like, what's her first name, I don't think is like an odd question that no one's thought of, right? Like I thought of it as soon as I saw it. Many people talked about how they thought of it as soon as they saw it, right? Like, again, we talked about it in a live stream, like what could her first name be, right? So the idea of like, hey, like what's her first name, right? Like is not, that question itself is not odd, but I don't want you to tell anybody what your first name is, but you can know what it is and need to keep that under wraps. That is odd. That's where it's like, okay, wait a minute, right? Like, because again, if it's just like Jessica, now could it be something where, maybe next season there's some significant tie-in and her first name has relevance to maybe Boyd or some character or whatever? Sure. Is it possible that maybe there's some story that they're gonna, connect her to another character or something? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Eloise. Maybe it's just something, because as of right now, right, based on where we are currently at as far as From is, the only first name that would have any type of relevance or significance is Eloise. Could they tell a story that eventually makes her and her first name have a direct tie-in to one of these characters? Sure. But I can't predict the future. I only know the information we have right now. I only know what one character's significant first name means. So it would make sense that it would be Eloise. If you get what I'm putting down, right? I don't know if I explained that perfectly, but I'm sure you get what I'm saying. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.